Nesar, welcome to Let the Quran Speak.
Thank you for having me.
I understand that you were one of the first to notice that there were all these suicides happening in the Greater Toronto Area amongst Bangladeshi Canadians. And Nesar, when did you start noticing that there were these suicides happening?
From 2016 and 2017, we have been listening lots of the suicide from the hearsay, and people are talking about this. So I would say from at the beginning of 2016, we have been listening that the here and there, in every couple of months, we heard that someone committed suicide and who are young.
I believe there were 14 cases, right, that you knew of?
Yeah, it's that we cannot confirm the number, but it's the in between 13 to 14. I'm not sure it's 13 or 14, but we are listening. So yeah, it's about that number.
So why did you decide to take that step to do research into this subject?
So see, Bangladeshi community is not a very big community in Toronto. We have, so the amount of people there, among that population group, number if I consider 13 or 14, it's a huge number. Considering the population. We have about the 30,000 at that time. So among 30,000 people, like 13 or 14 people they committed, they died by suicide. This is pretty alarming in the community. And what happened, we were just listening, and every time community was talking about it, they were heartbroken, what is going on, why it's happening. But it was difficult to talk to the parents. They didn't want to come forward. But one incident in 2017, one family actually, they openly did the funeral. They declared the funeral date, and we had a couple of Facebook groups in our community, and all the people, they are talking about it, that okay, what happens, why happens, and everyone was going through with some kinds of trauma, what's going on. So when I participated on this funeral, I talked to the parents, I saw them. It broke my heart, and I have a son also. So I don't want to go through with this experience. And the other people who participated there, like he was not the son of everyone, but everyone was crying, everyone was shocked, everyone was broken, like whole community shocked. So at that time I thought that okay, what is going on in the community? Why this youth boy? He was very bright, and all this youth, they were bright. They were university students. They had, they were in specialized programs, or they were college students. So there must be something wrong here. But what is that? We don't know, because those already died. We don't know why they died. So this is the reason I want to stop, any more death.
I believe you got together with some other Bengali individuals, yes, and you all put your resources together to come forward with this study.
Right. So at that time I was in school. So when it happened after the funeral day, I went to school. I was in a research class. So I spoke with my professor, Purnima George, and said, Purnima, I want to know why it is going on. She said that you need to do a participatory action research to know more about it. I said, okay, would you mind to help me? She said, I will invest my time, because this is very sensitive issue. I will do voluntarily, but if you do it, I said, of course I would. Then I spoke with one of my very close friend. He had a PhD, so I spoke with him. He said, this is interesting, let's do it. Then I spoke with another of my friend who is working for, he formed the Bengali Information and Employment Services as a community partner. So we spoke to them. So BIAS, Bengali Information and Employment Services, they agreed to take part of this research. And this is how we started.
Yeah. So tell me what your research looked like. I understand you had focus groups, right? How did you recruit people for the focus groups?
This is very challenging. It was the most challenging part. We knew that.
Is it because there's stigma around suicide?
Exactly. Okay. Stigma around suicide, stigma around mental health, and no one wants to talk about it because it kinds of taboo. People doesn't want to come forward to talk about it. So when we invited people like the youth to come for the focus group meeting, at the beginning, no one came. So we had to do so much hard work to find the participant. We distribute our flyers through Facebook, our personal network, through email, through Bengali newspapers, through our mouths, snowball methods. So we used all the possible ways. And then we found our youth participants. Parents didn't want to let them talk because, maybe it will come from, I don't know, I should not judgmental, but it was difficult. And when we had also focus group meeting with parents.
What did you find in your research? What were the major findings?
So the major findings was communication gaps. So our parents group, they had some different understanding about the problems, and youth, they have different understanding about the issues. So what happened in terms of communication gaps, parents thought that because of the language barrier, parents are not all parents, some parents, they thought that because of the they are not expert on English. And the kids, they raised up here, so their main language is English, so they cannot communicate well. But our youth group, they said that yes, communication is the biggest problem, but this is not about the language. This is about the content of the communication. Say, for example, sexuality, or mental health. They knew that their parents will not accept, they don't understand mental health, or they will not accept if they have different sexual identities. So they cannot talk about this. If they have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, they cannot talk this to their parents because parents will not understand this or will not accept it. So the content of the communication is the main barrier, not the language, but parents thought that the language. So communication gap is the main problem.
So how do you fix that? I mean, that seems like a huge gap.
Huge gap. So we have, the couple of recommendations. So youth came up with some recommendations and parents came up with some recommendations. And so one of the things is that we need to fill the gap. We need to, the parents need to come forward to understand. When I ask, someone said, oh, I have no communication gap with my children. Then I ask, okay, how long you can talk to your child? Can you talk to your child for 30 minutes? No. So that's mean, if you call to your best friend or your friend, then conversation never end. Even if it's 30 minutes, 40 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, time goes by. But when you talk to your children, if you think that, or any person, if you don't find any topics, okay, what next? So what is our common conversation? Oh, how are you doing? How was your lunch? Is it okay? How was your day? Did you do your work today? School work, your other work? That's it. In whole day, maybe, the parents and children, they have 10 minutes conversation. And everything is purposive. And lecturing. Most of the youth participants, they said that our parents lecture us too much. We don't want to lecture. We want to spend quality time with them. So what does it mean, quality time? This is very important. Parents need to understand what is quality time. Quality time is that, both parents and children will enjoy the time. And they will wait for another episode to enjoy this time. Another problem is that parents, they want to keep their cultural legacy. But our participant, they said that we want to be Canadian, but raised by Bangladeshi parents. So this is, the very important thing. They don't want to carry all the cultural legacies because they are here. So there is a challenge there, cultural conflict. So parents need to understand, bridge the gap, and find a balance between cultural legacies and Canadian values. Although this research is about Bangladesh, we did it on Bangladeshi community, but I spoke with other communities too, and they said that they are going through the same problem.
That's what I was going to ask you. To what extent is this unique to Bangladeshi Canadians? Because I can imagine that other communities have the same challenges.
Same challenges, almost same. but that there are some maybe 1 or 2 layers of differences. Say, for example, Bangladeshi immigrants, most of the Bangladeshi immigrants here are Muslim, so they have the extra layer of halal food challenge. So to find the halal food, they cannot go to the McDonald's, although all of their friends are going there. So these kinds of maybe one challenge, one extra challenge because of the religious belief. But the other things, say for example, other communities, you need to eat your cultural food. So whatever it is. So parents cook their cultural food. They want to speak their own language at home. They want to act them as they were in back home, but when they are outside, they have to play a different role. They have to speak a different language. They have to believe different things. So we are going through all the minority communities or immigrant communities. They're going through it more or less same problems.
Nesar, last question I want to ask you: what resources are available for parents and young adults to deal with some of these issues that you've mentioned?
So this is very challenging. I can say there is no resource in Bangladeshi community that parents can get help or youth can get help. So we are trying to build resources, but in general, the first, if anyone notice that that their children or the parents, they are going through with some kinds of challenges, mental health challenges, their family doctor will be the first contact person. Like instead of holding it inside what is going through, that they should go to the doctor, their family doctor, and talk to them. This is my feelings. Please refer me to a psychiatrist, because it takes at least 6 months to get a psychiatrist, right? So this is the one challenge. And another challenge is that medication is not the only solution. We need to, mental health is a healing process. If anyone going through with the trauma or PTSD or the situation, so the medication cannot stop that. So we need to stop the stressors. If someone is going through with COVID stress, they lost their job. If medication will not only heal this person, he needs another job or another situation, right? So this is the same thing. So people need to seek support and go to the counselor, conversation. And CAMH is a big resource organization in Toronto. And for crisis line, there are a Garistin Crisis Center. This is 24/7. There are other crisis center too. So instead of holding it, people should contact with those resources, and they can get help.
Nesar, thank you for joining me today, and thank you for your bravery and taking proactive action to try and help your own community. I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If you enjoyed this video, click like and subscribe, and please donate to support our work at QuranSpeaks.com.